Hey everyone, Michael here. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to add an RSI onto your charts and how to use it properly. Today's video is sponsored by Fairdesk, a premier crypto exchange specializing in futures, spot, and copy trading. Use my link to join today and enjoy special perks, including extremely low fees. So, to get started, I want you guys to come over here to Indicators, Metrics, and Strategies, and all you guys are going to have to do is type in RSI. Right here, you're going to see it at the top of the technical section. If you guys want to find some more fancy ones that are created by just random people on the internet, you guys can always come down here to community scripts and check them out. For now, we're just going to be going through the classic model that's on TradingView, which in and of itself is actually not the classic RSI. So, what you guys are looking at right now is a nice RSI that's just been put on the chart. You guys are going to notice, if you guys have been using other programs in the past, there's also another line on top of the RSI, and that's the moving average. We'll talk about that in just a second, but for those of you guys that have maybe used the moving average in the past and you guys aren't used to having a secondary line, it's just a moving average used for bullish crossovers and bearish crossovers, okay? So, what we're going to do first of all is we're going to come over here to settings, and I want to walk you through what all of these things are. It's very simple. At the top, you have the RSI length. You guys know there's a formula that goes into actually making the lines. All this is showing you is how many periods of time that we're going to be using for the RSI length. So we're on a 4-hour chart, and the RSI default is 14. So it's using the last 14 candles on the 4-hour chart. If it's a daily chart, last 14 candles of a daily chart, okay? Now, you guys can use whatever numbers you guys want to. Usually you're going to have lower numbers like a 9 or a 14 for more day trading opportunities. If you guys are looking to swing trade, your numbers are going to be closer to 21 and 25. If you guys are trying to look at very long-term trends as far as being oversold and overbought, you guys are going to be using numbers like 50, 100, and 200. And those are some very high numbers that you guys are not going to be looking at all too often, okay? But that's for you long-term investors out there. Next below that, you guys are going to have what's called the source. So what numbers are going to be used in that formula? Not how many or the period, just which number. So are we going to be using the close, the open, the high, low, or a combination of them, like high and low, high, low, close, open, high, low, close, etc., okay? Next, we're going to have MA settings. These are basically what type of things you're going to be using instead of the moving average. So right now we're starting off with a simple moving average, and if I move this over here to the side, you can see that's represented by this yellow line here. If I wanted to, I could turn these into Bollinger Bands, and voila, now you have Bollinger Bands on your RSI. You can use an EMA, you can use a SMMA, a VMA, and a volume weighted moving average. I normally just stick with the SMA, or I'll actually turn this off if I don't really need to use it. And then you're going to have the BB standard deviation. So this only matters if you guys are actually using the Bollinger Bands, okay? So if you guys change this, let's make this 5. Nothing's going to change because you're not using the Bollinger Bands. If you guys go over here to Bollinger Bands, now you can see how wide they are. If I go back over here to the default of 2, you're going to see how it shrinks back down just a little bit. That's what you guys are looking at there. And right below here, you have the multi-time frame. You're not going to be changing this too much. This is just if you want to view it on a different time frame here. Like let's say maybe let's go to an hour. It'll change it up just a little bit. I normally don't like the way it looks, so I typically just do it to chart. If I want to see what it looks like, I will change the time frame above on TradingView. Next, we're going to be looking at style here. I am going to move this back to an SMA. This is where you guys can change all of the colors and change things up a little bit. If you guys want to, here's one thing for new traders that may help you out. When you guys are using the this indicator, the RSI, a lot of times people are looking for crossovers here. Now, this isn't really the best setup for a 4-hour chart, but just so you guys can see, a bullish crossover right here is what you're looking for. So people sometimes like to use different colors for the RSI. For example here, instead of having it be purple, maybe they'll have it be green, and they'll move the thickness up to 2nd or 3rd tier thickness. And then from there, they'll also come over here to the moving average line, and they'll go to the 3rd tier thickness, and they'll make it red. All right. So whenever you see the green line cross above the red, that's going to be a good buying sign. You can see it's not always going to be accurate here because of some of the news going on, and this is Bitcoin, of course, not as reliable as far as technicals as you might consider an Apple or Nvidia or Tesla, but still pretty useful here. Now, what I want you guys to do when you guys are actually using this to make your strategies and whatnot is don't be afraid to change some of these numbers up. Right now, we're looking at something of a 14. Well, let's move that up to a 25 here because I want to do more swing trading. For the MA setting, that's fine for now. I don't want to change it up too much, but what I might be able to do is say, hey, let me go back and check on it a little bit. Let's see what's going on. We see the RSI was kind of high over here. We can see we had a death cross over here where we fell down below it. You can see we kept on coming down and down and down with a few little tidbits. We got 1, 2, 3, a few little false signals here. So what can we do about that? We might have to change the RSI up just a little bit more, or we can change the MA length on the moving average. So maybe we can move it up here to a 21, or let's just go to 25 and match the RSI length. And what you're going to see is you're going to see less noise, so less false signals here. And that's really the goal. So you're going to have to figure out a way for you, for each chart, to find the best RSI settings for you. Usually there's a whole defaulted list that you guys can use. I made a video about all the different settings you guys can use, but you guys shouldn't have so many crossovers between the green and red line, or if you're using the standard colors, it's going to be the purple and yellow line, okay? The more noise you have, the worse off you're going to be, because you're going to be feeling all these false signals. And if you guys are using these signals to trade, it's not going to be overly well. And I want to remind you guys of something. When we have a crossover like this, it doesn't mean the asset, whether it's a stock or a cryptocurrency, is going to just plummet back down to earth. A lot of people on YouTube are going to tell you that. That's not the way the RSI is working. It's letting you know when things are oversold and overbought. It's an oscillator at heart. So what it's going to help you do is try to figure out the momentum here for you to make some good opportunities to make some good money. For example, you can see we broke out right here, but the breakout wasn't actually happening towards the more oversold area of the chart with things a little bit more cheaper, so to say, okay? You can see when you have the breakouts down here, they end up meaning a little bit more. So we had a breakout up here, ended up doing a little bit better. A breakout over here, it ended up doing a little bit better, only because it was so oversold at the time of the actual moving average crossover here, okay? Now, one thing I do also want you guys to understand here is, as we're looking at this, you can see currently that Bitcoin has been going more sideways here and the RSI has been coming back down. You can look for some of those divergences and make your trades based off of those as well. Usually you're looking for a divergence where the oscillator is coming down one way and the price of an asset is not actually following that same way. For now, Bitcoin seems to be doing fine on this particular chart, but you guys are going to have to fine tune this to whatever you guys are trading. So if I were to come over here to a daily chart and get off the 4-hour, you can see on this particular chart, there's a lot more noise over here. Now, there's been a lot of news over the past few weeks as far as Bitcoin, so that's something else. But again, if you feel like there's too much noise, move this moving average up to 50, move the SMA up to 50 right here, and then see if it works out a little bit better. And then you got a lot less noise. In fact, we had the RSI bounce off the moving average just as the price action was actually bouncing off of a level of support. Over here, you can see we broke out of the RSI right there and things were actually pretty well for us. All right, so there's different ways to look at it. Some of you guys are going to be using this to find out when you need to exit a position. Some of you guys are going to be looking for when you want to enter a position. If you guys want to fine tune this a little bit more, what you're going to be doing is playing around with the moving average. And sometimes that means actually using a moving average that's a lot less than the RSI length. So for MA length, let's go over here to 10. And you're going to see right here, more signals, not as much noise, but there still is a little bit more noise. But when you have those crossovers, it's a little bit of, hey, get the signal a few days earlier. So it's going to give you more signals, but a lot more of those signals are also going to be a little bit worse off. So just understand that. But I hope you guys had a great day. And if you guys have any questions, feel free to let me know. This is a pretty simple indicator to learn how to use. You can play around with it as much as you want to, but most of the time you guys aren't going to be doing too many different setting changes on this one.